And for me, this room with its simple things is a symbol of a great and noble crusade. Not long ago, living here in the heart of the sweepers' colony, Gandhiji demonstrated to the entire world his identification with the cause of Harijan uplift. From here, he used to campaign against the curse of untouchability, to call for brotherhood among men.
रघुपति राघव राजा राम।
हमारे हरिजनों को तो अपनाना ही चाहिए। वो तो जैसे हम हिंदू हैं ऐसे ही है। वो कोई पंचम जाति है नहीं। पंचम जाति ऐसी चीज हिंदू धर्म में हो नहीं सकती है। 4 वर्ण है सही।
Bapu has left us, but the message he preached can never die. Even now, I hear him reminding us of these children. Men were born equal under the sky. Then how did India receive this strange heritage? Who helped the evil to grow? Like all practices, untouchability had a beginning, but no one knows exactly how it took root. Sociologists attempt to trace it to causes partly racial and partly occupational. Occupation determined the caste. Society was divided into 4 castes: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. But most important, the original Shudra, the lowest among the castes, was not an untouchable. Later, probably economic pressure forced many into so-called unclean professions. They were segregated. Racial attitudes, sanctified by religion, increased the disabilities of these early untouchables. The scourge continued to spread. Once an untouchable, always an untouchable. That was the code, and orthodoxy branded many other sections of the working population with this sinister label. It was a vicious circle. Untouchability barred entry into profitable professions. Poverty bred backwardness and unclean living. And these further strengthened untouchability. No one was spared. Even the young were shown no mercy. These victims of Hindu society were denied entry into houses of God. The temples and their precincts were not to be polluted by the unclean. They must worship their God from the outside, at a distance. But this was not all. They must not use the public well. Here, in the name of religion, animals enjoyed rights denied to man. Beyond their reach too was knowledge and learning. They must remain illiterate, untutored. For how could the children of caste Hindus be contaminated by contact with untouchables like this sweeper boy working with his father? Eating places were also an exclusive preserve. As for the unclean, they ate in the street. And sometimes the street itself had to be cleared for the highborn. They must measure their distance, for their shadows were as vile as their bodies. Upper garments must not be worn by the unclean. That too was a law which few dared to break. It was a law that even forbade the use of jewelry and ornaments. and if ever they were guilty of a breach, the wrath of the heaven-born descended on them. To fight this monster of untouchability, there rose enlightened men resolved to purge the evil and reform Hinduism. Through them, the real voice of God was heard. Eknath, Chaitanya, Ravidas, Narsi Mehta, Nandanar, and many others. And with the coming of Gandhiji, the movement against untouchability became a national crusade. He maintained that without the removal of this age-old evil, Swaraj would be a meaningless term. The struggle was launched. Vaikam, a small town in Travancore, the scene of the first major action. Untouchables demanded the right to use a public street. 19 long months, and the new movement won its first victory. The focus then shifted to Yarwada. Bapu began a fast unto death to undo the mischief of the communal award. The Pune Pact evolved a compromise. The Harijan Weekly was founded. It spoke for a long-suffering people. And the Harijan Sevak Sangh took over the task of improving the lot of untouchables all over India. To win support for the Harijans, the children of God as he called them, Gandhiji toured the country. The tour became a triumphant procession. The shackles of untouchability were being rent asunder. India was astir. Her conscience had been awakened. And yet, there were still some powerful groups who lived in the past, who shut out the new spirit. But Bapu's passionate campaigning had turned the tide against the holy sinners. From Travancore came stirring news. A dramatic temple entry proclamation by the Maharaja heralded a new era in the history of Harijan progress. The state's most important temple opened its doors to Harijan devotees. Then came provincial autonomy. Popular governments passed various measures granting Harijans rights which had long been denied to them. The movement gathered momentum. In Madura, citadel of orthodoxy, a modern miracle took place. On July 8, 1939, the ancient Meenakshi temple permitted the entry of Harijans. They walked on stone, never touched by the feet of their forefathers. Madura's example was soon followed by various temples all over the country. The great reform of Hindu society had begun in earnest. None could halt it. Bapu's dream was at last becoming a reality. But his hour of triumph was yet to come. In the Constituent Assembly, Sardar Patel moved that the clause for the abolition of untouchability be incorporated into the Constitution. Untouchability was abolished by law and its practice forbidden. The news echoed throughout the world. It was a bold decision, one of the greatest acts of history. From the Parliament of the Indian Union, the assault on the remnants of untouchability continued. Harijans themselves played a leading role in the reform of Hindu society. And today in free India, no field of activity is barred to them. Parliament also appointed a special Backward Classes Commission to inquire into the social and economic problems of India's 50 million Harijans. The first step was to build new homes for them. Large funds were set aside for the job. Life shifted from the dirty and squalid slums to clean and economic housing units. New schools, hostels and welfare centers are also being opened for Harijan children. Special facilities are provided for their training in various trades. And to prove that the earth is theirs too, Bhudan land is distributed among those who are landless. They now till fields that are their own, aided by cooperative societies which give them generous credit facilities. In the towns, Harijans are finding employment in expanding industry. Liberal aid is also given to non-official agencies devoted to the cause of Harijan uplift. For centuries of poverty and despair have yet to be conquered. The new position of equality enjoyed by the Harijans is seen in the unrestricted freedom they enjoy to celebrate their festivals and religious holidays. Nearly every temple is open to them, and the old distinctions are disappearing.
सुकृताची जोडी म्हणून विठ्ठली आवडी विठ्ठली आवडी म्हणून विठ्ठली आवडी.
Once the highborn feared pollution. Now they revere Chokha Mela, a Harijan saint of Pandharpur. And yet there is still much to be done. In some areas of the country, the holy sinners doggedly deny their brethren the most elementary rights. For laws alone cannot check these ugly attitudes. Prevents them from exercising those rites which have been established, they continue to pray to their God from a distance. All this is bad enough, but the most cruel are the parents who inject this poison into the minds of the young.
और मुंडी काटो, तुम लोगों को खेलना हो तो दूसरी जगह जाकर क्यों नहीं मरते? हम लोगों को छूते फिरते हो और धर्म बिगाड़ते हो। खबरदार अब जो पांव रखा इस गली में।
To make the life of this Harijan child and millions like him a journey into love and friendship, that was Bapu's message to us. A journey into love and friendship. It was the pledge he asked us to redeem.
कि अगर इतना भी हम नहीं कर सकते हैं कि जिसमें तो हमारा धर्म पड़ा है, कर्म पड़ा है, कि उनको जो आज तक हम अछूत मानते आए हैं, गुलाम जैसे मानते आए हैं, वो तो हमने बड़ा अधर्म किया, गलती की, पाप किया। उसका प्रायश्चित रूप में तो हम हिंदू, हम सिख सबको अपने अपने धर्म के मुताबिक चले, तब तो मैं समझता हूँ कि सब काम हो सकता है।